Hi there guys, welcome back again to my very new channel. I've been thinking I'd like to introduce you before you really get to know me any further into one of the projects that I am working on and that I currently have a lot of involvement with. But firstly, I'd like to just throw something out there because I think it's a topic that a lot of people don't discuss, don't know enough about, and quite honestly, it usually leaves quite a negative feeling with people. Um, what do you think? What comes to your mind when I say the word refugee? Now, I think like I say, for a lot of people, it leaves a very negative connotation. It's not something that people consider a good thing or a good person, or a lot of people just have no idea what it actually means. So I'd like to share with you today that I went and found out for myself what being a refugee is all about, and what these people, where they come from, what they face, where they currently live, and their circumstances and so on. Last year, in April, I had the amazing opportunity for the first time ever to go on an outreach. Now, I've always had a heart to do missions and to go out into the world and share the gospel and just be a part of other people's communities and lifestyle. And yeah, so the Lord really just put this thing into my life, placed it into my path. And I met people which are part of an organization called YWAM, or otherwise Youth with a Mission. And you can Google them. They are a global organization. And what they do is it's part of what they call the University of the Nations. And they host an initial program which anybody in the whole world can take part in. It's a 5-month program, more or less, called a DTS, which is Discipleship Training School. And during this training school, what happens is you spend 3 months doing a lecture phase where they teach you how to hear the voice of God and really just get into a relationship with the Father and the Holy Spirit. And they also teach you about evangelism and preaching, and it's really a discipleship training school. And then the last 2 months are outreach phase, where you actually then go out into different areas and you evangelize and do ministry. So YWAM does the DTS program, but the different YWAMs across the world also specialize in different specific areas and fields. And our YWAM, that is close to where I stay in Potch, they have a ministry which they began, I think it was about 2 years ago, called Operation Refugee. Now what they've done is they met a refugee who came and did the DTS here in Potch 2 years ago. His name is Stephen. He's from the DRC, Congo. And he did the DTS. He came here all the way from Malawi, because he was living in the refugee camp there for many years, I think about 16 years. And the Lord just led him to come to South Africa, and through that he ended up in Potch doing the DTS totally by faith. Really trusted the Lord for all the finances to pay for his DTS, and the Lord came through for him, and he did. And through Stephen, we had the opportunity as a team to then become involved with the refugee camp in Malawi. So this is there where I came into the picture, and I joined the guys for a 1-week outreach last year, April, in Malawi, in Dzaleka refugee camp. And I tell you, it was one of the most humbling, most amazing experiences I've ever had in my life. We really roughed it out. We lived in in a town or a little village outside the refugee camp called Doha. But we stayed in what they call a guest house, but it's nothing like we know. Guest house that we know looks a bit like what you might see here in the background, a nice bed with bedding and pictures and furniture and hot water and electricity and so on. But this was more like a really rustic hostel type of style. and they have electricity, but it's not always working, so the power comes and goes as it so chooses, and the water also comes and goes as it so chooses. So they have but they have the most amazing system going. So they've got these huge pots outside, and the guys that are running this guest house, they've got some workers, and early in the mornings they're busy cooking water, boiling water in these pots, so that we've got water to wash with. And any time of day, actually, I sometimes in the afternoons used to ask for a little bit of hot water, in a bucket, and that would be how we'd bath. So yes, it was real Africa style, but there were so many amazing things about the Malawi as a country. The fact that it's really safe. I'm in South Africa and I'm not really used to that, walking down the middle of a street in a little village, busy market place, and I don't have to clutch onto my handbag. There nobody will do anything to you, and yeah, we're not used to that as South Africans. So that was very, very refreshing to just be in a place where people really respect and honor one another. And also I found it very clean, and people take pride in everything they do. Even the marketplaces, every stall was so neatly laid out and beautifully laid out, actually, with the tomatoes, all the veggies, it was so beautiful, and I really, really admired these people, just for the way that they do business, and they are humble people. So Malawi was a wonderful experience, but then of course we went into the refugee camp itself. Now here I was met with the most unbelievable stories and a reality of a people that I really, really had no idea what these people's lives were like. We did a lot of work within churches that are within the refugee camp. There are about 68 churches of all types of denominations in Dzaleka refugee camp itself. The camp's got 28,000 people. It's probably more by now. It's about a year later. Now what happens is, most of these people come from places like the DRC, Congo, or Rwanda, or Burundi, Somalia, many countries within Africa where there is terrible, terrible wars going on. And these are people who they had no choice, but they had to run by foot, cross countries, through bushes and fields and dangers, and just to save their own lives. And most of them, in fact, left families behind, left mothers, fathers, daughters, children, and had to watch their villages and their homes being burnt down and their family members being murdered. I will still share a couple of the testimonies with you at some stage, but these stories are horror stories, and it's real. These people have witnessed and experienced these things. And then they came, and eventually they end up in a refugee camp such as this one in Malawi. There are quite a few around the war-torn countries, and there they become stuck. They are in this place. There is no economy. Some of them have got a little business that they run, like they have hair salons or a little restaurant, where they sell really, really basic things, maize meal, a little bit of meat if they can get some. They have little market areas as well, but basically the refugees themselves are not really allowed to work and earn money. They can sell from what they get as rations. So they get rations every month from the UNHCR. They come and drop off each refugee when they have their ID. They get to stand in line, and they get to have their, let's say, 5 kgs of maize meal, a liter of oil or a cup of oil. I've got the exact measurements of their rations that they get per month. I just don't have it with me right now. But yes, they get rations, but there's no meat and vegetables included in those rations. It's like beans and maize and so on. And then from that, a lot of them make foods and try and sell it just to earn some money, because yeah, it's so sad. There's also an education system in place, but there's not enough space for all the children. So about a quarter of the children in the refugee camp actually get to go to a little building to have schooling and to learn. And I can talk about the refugee camp for hours. In my 1 week there, I experienced such an amazingly huge, so many things that I don't really have enough time to share everything with you. But one of the most impacting things about being at the refugee camp for me was the nature of these people, their whole attitude, their whole spirit. We did a lot of ministry sessions with them, like with the youth and the children, and we would ask them things like, draw us a picture of yourself. And then they draw a picture, and this was quite, the older youth, and we'd ask them, okay, explain your picture, stand up and tell us about your picture. And every single one of them had a picture of, this is me, and this is when I am able to someday preach the gospel in all of Africa. Or this is me being a lawyer, or this is me being a doctor and helping other people. And I found slowly but surely I got to know that each one of these people had passion, they had hopes and dreams and vision. And these are people who really have no hope because they're not going anywhere. They cannot go home to their home countries. They're still busy with war. They can't just leave the refugee camp and live in Malawi because they are refugees. It is really such a sad situation. But yet these people are not burning down their community. They are not protesting. They're not striking. In fact, they are happy. They have peace, and they are positive. A lot of them carry obviously a lot of sadness within their hearts because they've experienced such traumatic events, and they also know that they're very unlikely ever going to go anywhere. My team leader actually said the first time he went there, he felt that it's like a human dustbin. And I know that's maybe a it's a harsh thing to say, but it's a reality and it's a fact. And so the experience was very touching for me, and I really wanted to be more involved. I kind of wished I could have put them all on the airplane and brought them home with me. But that's not possible, and all the organizations that are involved in the refugee camps also, they can only do that much. So when we were on our way home, my team leader offered me a position to work in Operation Refugee as the marketing person. So my role is to approach people, ministries, businesses, individuals, whomever, and gather funds and donations towards our refugees. Now, our plan and our vision is, remember I was talking earlier about the DTS of YWAM. So what we do is there's a YWAM base in Malawi as well, in the city of Blantyre. So we would like, but to do the DTS obviously costs quite a bit of money. At the moment it's about $1,000 for the entire 5-month course. Then it pays for the DTS, the course, the program itself, all materials involved, as well as food, where they have to stay. Everything is paid for. So our vision is to gather funds to enable the refugees to go and do the DTS, and after they've completed their 5-month program, then we try to help them and assist them to get their passports sorted out and to be able to go into Africa again as healed, whole people who can then be in the ministry. And we've already put 3 guys successfully through the DTS last year, and they are now actively working in the mission field. One of them, Jimmy, he is staffing at the Blantyre base of YWAM. Stephen is our amazing team. He's like our leader who is active in Africa. He's my contact guy. He helps us, he translates for us, he organizes everything for us. And then we've got Treasure, who also went through the system, and he's now studying at the University of Blantyre, doing pastoral counseling. So you see, our guys, and now we've currently got 3 students who are also currently doing the DTS. And I personally met them when I was on outreach last year, so I know them, I've seen them. They're beautiful, beautiful people, and they've been giving me feedback every month. I do a newsletter which I send out to people, and I get feedback from my 3 students just to hear how it's going and their growth and everything, and they're doing so well, and they are so positive, and they're so excited for their futures, and they really just want to go out and change Africa now. And so it's been an amazing experience, and the Lord has really provided in ways that, yes, that's my daughter there in the background. And the Lord has provided in ways that I personally have never experienced before. I've never ever seen God moving in such big ways as what I've seen in the past few months that I've been involved with this project. So guys, I'm going to finish off the video now. I will talk more about Operation Refugee at another stage, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of background, a real basic outline, and I will put our website down in the description below, and all my links are there as well if you want to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And please subscribe to my channel. Click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell as well. And then I will chat to you again soon. Have a very blessed evening and good night.
We hope you enjoy.